Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I thank my right honourable friend, and can I echo comments from colleagues in terms of thanking the government, local government, the armed forces, volunteers and engineers for their efforts to help people during this dreadful crisis. Can I also pay tribute to the resilience of residents in Cumbria, elsewhere in the north of England and across Scotland for facing up to this dreadful crisis. I fear that this resilience will be tested again and again with more and more named storms coming. Can my right honourable friend assure me that in the lessons learned process from this, that the support for communities will get to them as soon as possible, as in terms of generators and in terms of calling in the army? In Cumbria, we know that when we have flooding and when we've had things like foot and mouth, calling the army in early is an important lesson to be learned. So whoever's job it is to call them in, please can we do this as quickly as possible?
Well, I thank my honourable friend for his engagement throughout this process as well, on behalf of his Cumbria constituents. I think he makes some very good points there. We'll actually be asking for all members as well, Mr. Speaker, to give their input into the lessons learned process, and that might be anything from communications through to extra resources, deployments and so on. I can tell him that at its peak, 755 generators were deployed in the most affected areas in the United Kingdom. That number is now around 500, Mr. Speaker. In terms of calling out the armed forces, that is principally a matter for the local resilience forum in the first case to make that local assessment of what their needs are. I would stress, in terms of repairing and rebuilding power lines, that is a job for engineers, Mr. Speaker. In terms of other relief and other workers and other people who can provide support for local communities, that is also a job for the local resilience forum, Mr. Speaker, to make that assessment.
Kelly Ford.